Well, happy late night, Mississippi State fans. We were over midnight here in Virginia. Mississippi State has just finished off. Well, it's been a couple hours, but State's finished off game one of their regional run here in Charlottesville, and we're going to recap that for you. Mississippi State 5, St. John's 2 in 10 innings. An exciting ball game, a well-pitched ball game between these two teams, and Mississippi State found a way to win. First thing I'll say about this Mississippi State team, we keep trying to make sense of this, but I don't know if we can. It just doesn't really add up that Mississippi State has had this big of a slump from Dakota Jordan and Hunter Hines. And on top of that, really a lot of the offense has not been clicking at the same time, and yet they're still winning games down the stretch. I know they lost two ball games last week in the SEC tournament, but they lost to a red-hot Vanderbilt team by 1 run, and they lost to the number 1 team in the nation, Tennessee, by 1 run. This team continues to be in the fight every single game, and it's because of what they're doing on the mound. Another incredible performance on the mound. Cal Stephen gave up a couple of runs with a 2-out single in the 4th inning in this ball game, and the rest of the ball game was just absolute nails. I cannot say enough about this guy. This has been Mississippi State's best pitcher throughout an entire season, and I know what Will Bednar did in the College World Series, and he was a very solid pitcher that season, but the season that Cal Stephen has had is better than the season that Will Bednar had as a whole. This is State's best pitcher since Ethan Small in 2019 when he was SEC Pitcher of the Year. This is one of the better seasons that Mississippi State has had in the last 10 years on the mound. Cal Stephen has been incredible this year. Lowers his earned run average to 3.28. He was a first-team All-SEC guy for a reason. 10 strikeouts, 0 walks, 8 strong innings, 7 hits scattered. He gave up 3 hits in that 4th inning. It was mostly just a hit here and there, left guys on base, didn't get in trouble a whole lot during the game, and just pounded the strike zone. That's what made him so good almost every start this year. And I'm just so impressed with the job that he's done. And I talked to Chris Simonis after the game about if he ever is, does this surprise him at all? What Mississippi State has done as a pitching staff, is it something that he expected when he hired Justin Parker? And he said, I'd like to say that it was my expectations. I'd like to say that I thought going in that we were going to lower our earned average from 7 runs to 4. But it's just been a remarkable turnaround for this team. They are now down to 4.10 earned average as a team. Cal Stephen, Tyler Davis, 10 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs, 0 walks in 10 innings from these guys. The strikeout to walk ratio this year has been incredible for Mississippi State, and it's really, I think, has a lot to do with Justin Parker. But a guy like Cal Stephen has really helped Mississippi State get in that position, and adding players like that has been huge. Tyler Davis, what a weapon he is out of the bullpen at this point. 6-1 now in the season. His earned run average is under 1.3. Every time he comes to the ball game, he's giving you a chance late in the game. Comes in those last 2 innings. You can't say enough about what he did there to make sure St. John's didn't score. You kept things where they were. It was 2-2. The offense was really kind of struggling, and you needed to shut things down right there. 27 pitches. He's probably burned for the Virginia game, but if you can somehow find a way and win that ball game tomorrow night, you have him in one of the next 2 ball games with a chance to punch your ticket to a Super Regional. That's huge for Mississippi State. He didn't get too elevated in the pitch count through 27 pitches in 2 innings, gave up a hit, struck out a batter, no runs. So he's not burned for the weekend. I think you can easily see him come back in the next couple of days. I don't think it'll be tomorrow. 27 pitches coming back from that in kind of a high leverage situation. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think we see him again in the next couple of days. I think if they're, whether they have a chance to close out the regional on Sunday or they have to stay alive on Sunday, I think you will see him come back. I don't think he's done for the weekend, but you only use one guy. You still got your guys in the bullpen ready to go for the rest of the weekend, so we'll see what happens. But this was just an incredible effort from the pitching staff, and I wanted to lead with that because I think that was the most important part of this ball game for the pitching staff to keep things where they were to set up one of the biggest moments of the season for Mississippi State. And it happened with the person you needed it to happen with. State has been struggling mightily on the offensive side of the ball, I think, because Dakota Jordan and Hunter Hines have not been able to get out of this slump. I think those two are the key for Mississippi State. And why I said early on in this Talking Dogs or reaction video, whatever we're going to call it, maybe a reaction, why I said earlier that it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense is these guys have been struggling tremendously in the last 2 weeks. And Mississippi State has still found ways to win ball games. And they found ways to win with the 3 wins that they've had in the last 2 weeks. They've found those ways to win with clutch hits. That's hard to do for an offense that's struggling to find ways to win ball games in clutch situations like that. It's hard to do, but this team has a knack for it. And this program has a knack for it in postseasons. Since 2018, I researched this, 10 wins in the final inning of a ball game. That either is top of the ninth or top of the extra innings or walking it off. Mississippi State has walked off 8 of those ball games since 2018 in postseason play. That's incredible. That's a program, that's a culture that is built around being ready for that moment. It's transcended different players. It's transcended different teams. It's mostly been under Chris Simonis, but 2018 we saw some big moments with Gary Henderson as the head coach. Elijah McNamee coming up with some big hits down the stretch of those games. This year it's been a little bit of everybody. Connor Hyzak did it in the SEC tournament. Dakota Jordan did it today with his walk-off home run, a 3-run jack in the 10th inning. And the way that happened was really cool. If you look back at this game, Dakota Jordan was 1 for his last 26, dating back to the Missouri game, the final Missouri game to close out the regular season. 1 for 26. He was 1 for 20. There was 1 for 20 since the SEC tournament, since postseason play began. Had the big 2-run single against Tennessee, but he came out in this game and was kind of struggling again in this one. Sorry, let me plug in my computer. I'm in a room up here by myself. I forgot my tripod this week, so you're just having to get this shot where we are. We might have somebody pop in the back. We'll just have to make do what we got. Luckily, I think somebody's already come through here and vacuumed, so maybe we'll have that out of the way. But Dakota Jordan, 1 for his last 20, 11 strikeouts, and was struggling in this game too. Came up in a couple of big spots. He struck out 3 times in his first 4 at-bats. Did have, I thought, a hard-hit ball to third base in the first inning, I think it was, and beat it out at first base. It was a good swing and nothing wrong with it. He hit it over to third and it set up a potential double play, but he's fast enough to beat it out. Making hard contact, I'm never going to be, upset about that, and nobody should. But the other at-bats, you could see him pressing again. You could see him not being able to time up these pitches and was really struggling. And you have a runner at third base and Michael O'Brien after the leadoff single from Aaron Downs. You got the winning run over to third base in the 10th inning. And they walked David Mershon intentionally to get to Dakota. I thought it was the right call. I think in that situation, the coach saw a scrappy hitter at the plate in David Mershon, a guy that you don't want to beat you in that situation. He had already gotten on base a couple of times today. He's capable of winning a ball game for Mississippi State. And I'm not saying that Dakota Jordan isn't. In the past, he has. But in this stretch, you have a much greater chance, I think, of David Mershon beating you in that situation than Dakota Jordan, just because of where he is, where he's been mentally. Dakota's been a little frustrated. It's been visible. You've been able to see that. And in this game, I think that was the right call. You have him come up in that situation, runners at the corners, and in that situation too, you're going to have to throw a pitch down the middle. You're going to have to challenge a hitter in that situation. And that's what they had to do. You had a runner at third, can't be throwing breaking balls in the dirt and risking a possibility of bouncing one past the catcher or something like that and scoring the winning run. So you're going to have to challenge the guy right there. And Dakota's been struggling to time it up. He's been struggling to hit the baseball. I didn't have a problem with it. But I think an added element to that, and something that was probably underrated in that situation, David Mershon messes with these pitchers' heads, and he's sneaking behind the pitcher down to second base. You're going to concede that anyway, but just having that in the back of your mind that there's a guy moving around on the bases, I think had something to do with that. He grooves one in there, and Dakota goes the opposite way. It was a great piece of hitting. And by the way, it had already fallen behind 0-2, got the count back even. It was a really good at bat after getting behind there. He took a couple of balls, good eye on those next two pitches, and then he goes the other way with it into the bullpen for a 3-run home run. And you could just see the jubilation out of that guy rounding the bases. So happy for him as a guy that's covered this kid for the last couple of years, and also in recruiting too. Great kid. You know he's working hard out there, and nobody's trying to see him. Nobody wants to see him struggle like that. And to see him come out of it and get the big hit was just awesome. Super happy for him. And I hope this is a moment that's going to allow him to break through and relax a little bit more at the plate and start to put together some better at-bats. Because if he and Hunter Hines really start to come along for Mississippi State, the sky's the limit for this team. The pitching staff is going to give them a chance in most every ball game. These starts are just unfathomable. I can't even dream it up that this is possible, that Mississippi State has gone from the absolute worst pitching team in the SEC and one of the worst in the country the last 2 years to being this good almost every single start. Every starter seems to give Mississippi State at least 4 or 5 innings, and most of them are giving them 6 or more. And that's just, at this day and age, you just don't see that from a rotation, a starting group, a staff, to give you 5 or more innings, all 3 guys. And you know you're going to get it just about every time from Cal Steven and Durangelo Sangea. And now you feel like you could do it with Brooks Auger. And you feel like Pico Khan is obviously capable as well. So Mississippi State has put itself in good position here. Tomorrow is a huge ball game for Mississippi State. You win that game against Virginia, you move into the winner's bracket, you have 2 chances to beat the home team to get a chance to go to Super Regional. You hold all the cards at that point. The percentage chances of that team that wins the first 2 in a regional are exponentially higher. I don't know what it is at this point, 70s, I think, 75%, maybe more of the team that wins the first 2 wins the Super Regional or wins the regional. This is so big on Saturday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. So for most of you guys watching you're probably in Central time zone, it's going to be 5 p.m. So we're starting an hour earlier than where we started tonight in this game. So make sure that you know that. 5 p.m. ESPN Plus, which is the subscription-based ESPN. You need to check that out. Real quick, Hunter Hines got a big hit. He went 1 for 4 in this game, did strike out once, but tagged a ball to right field that was caught, and then had the base hit in the 9th inning, I think, to lead off the 9th inning to give State a chance to try to get something going there. I think Hunter's close. I think he's getting there. Like I said, he did have a strikeout, but 2 out of his 4 at-bats, he put the barrel to the ball and had nice hits to right field. I think he needs a couple of hits to really break through, but these guys are close. They're starting to kind of come together a little bit, and I just think if those 2 can get it going, big things can happen for Mississippi State. Shout out to Logan Kohler, who was incredible in this game. While Mississippi State's struggling, he is 3 for 4, 2 doubles, and a home run. Had the 2-run home run in the 2nd inning to put Mississippi State on top 2-0. And after that, Xavier Colliser was incredible in this game. The game of his life, I think. 8 2/3 innings, which was a career high. 6 hits, 2 runs. Had a couple of walks. Struck out 7. But, he struggled with command in the first couple of innings. And after that, dude was excellent. They brought in their best reliever, and State just did a good job against him, I thought, in the last 2 innings. to get that win. So huge win for State. You got to win this first one. Mississippi State has come out of the losers bracket before after losing this first game. They did it twice on the road, 2 years in a row, 17 and 18. They went to Hattiesburg in 17, and they had to win. They actually had to win 4 games in 2 days there to win that regional. And the next year, they go to Florida State. They lose the first game, and then the second day, they have to play the host Florida State in the losers bracket game. We saw that what happened there. I mean, the incredible turn of events that happened on Elijah McNamee's home run with 2 outs in that ball game and 2 strikes against him. Mississippi State ends up going to Omaha that year. So if they would have lost this game, it wouldn't have been impossible, but it would have just made things really difficult for Mississippi State. You're talking about probably having to come back, and you're going to have to beat either St. John's or Penn in the losers bracket game, and then you're going to have to likely beat. And I'm just projecting, but you'd likely have to beat Virginia twice after that, and you're just putting yourself in a very difficult situation there. So Mississippi State winning this game was really big, and tomorrow is even bigger. If you can find a way to win this on Saturday night against Virginia, you're in the driver's seat. You're in a great position to come out of this thing and make another super regional next week. So we'll see what happens. Durangelo St. on the mound. I think he's going to give Mississippi State a chance. State's offense has got to find a way to put together some innings where they're scoring runs and not just having, the one big inning or the one big hit every now and then. They've got to put together some more consistent at-bats. You had 0 for 5 from Bryce Chance, 1 for 5 from Dakota Jordan. He had the big hit, but that's 1 for 10 there, 2 for 14 when you put in Hunter Hines, 2 for 18 when you put in Hyzak. Amani Larry had a home run robbed. He's still having some good at-bats, but, all the way down to 5 in the order, 1 through 5, you're really struggling to have some consistency there. So State's got to get that offense together. It was great for them to win this ball game, but at some point, you got to help these pitchers out. You got to take some pressure off of them, and we'll see if they're able to do that coming up on Saturday. So appreciate you guys. It's a late night, but we got some great coverage for you on the website. So you can go check that out. I got a couple of stories up, and we have obviously this on our YouTube channel, so make sure you're subscribed. Had a ton of subscribers yesterday. Got over 500 subscribers after our Talking Dogs yesterday, so I appreciate you guys that are new subscribers. Tell your friends about it. Share it. Like it. Whatever you want to do. I'd appreciate any help that I can get there. And do not forget to subscribe to our website, Maroon and White Daily. Got some great stuff going up. Paul Jones had some great coverage of Top Dog Camp earlier this week in recruiting. We got camps coming up with Jeff Lebby. Official visits this summer. That's a little new to football. Official visits are starting to become a more prominent thing in the summer, and Jeff Lebby has several coming in over the next few weeks. So you want to be able to follow all that with Paul Jones. Make sure you're locked in with us. All right, guys. I'll be back tomorrow night. We'll have more tomorrow night from Disharoon Park and Davenport Field. I'm glad I have that right in front of me so I can continue to give you that. So with that said, catch you down the road.